Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time to the second public session for today. We are really delighted to have with us as a keynote address Professor Dr. Osman Ahmed, President of IAMOT. Dr. Tariq Khalil, would you please introduce Dr. Osman to the floor? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Nazar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, as we say, for everybody coming in from all over the world. It's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this afternoon, Dr. Osman Ahmed. He worked for more than 35 years to create innovation and wealth, both intellectual and capital. He demonstrated very significantly his ability to be a successful strategist and a technical leader. For the last 25 plus years, he has led innovations that spans complete digital ecosystems, from Internet of Things, predictive analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning solutions, and novel distributed edge intelligence across many energy sectors, such as buildings, smart cities, infrastructure, smart grid, manufacturing, mobility, and hydropower plants. Currently, he serves as Principal Technical Advisor at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, a national research laboratory operated by the Department of Energy, USA. Prior to joining the National Laboratory, he served at Siemens for about 28 years, assuming various technical and leadership positions. So I am indeed pleased and honored to present our leader for IAMOT, our president, Mr. Osman Ahmed.
Thank you. Let me share my screen once again. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Good, all right. Just give me 1 second so I know how to do this. Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Professor Khalil, for your generous introduction. So the topic today is about future of digitalization. And this is in the wake of 2020 events, which has been triggered by COVID-19, of course, but it also showed that the world was actually in darkness. There were several existing fault lines that we did not really realize that we have, or even if we realized, we didn't know how to cope with them. So I'm going to actually show you, just 1 second, I don't know how to move my, okay, here you go. So I will just show you some numbers that happened in 2020 as my driver, motivation actually to, or motivation behind this speech. So on the right-hand side on the screen, you see the numbers are actually moving up. The COVID-19 worldwide cases, it's about 28 millions, with the death reaching almost 1 million. The global economic impact, GDP contraction, is 5.2%, which is about $4.5 trillion. So we kind of lost this year. This is a number that I want everybody to keep in mind. Because we'll be talking about this number quite a bit in later part of my discussions. Education-wise, UNESCO tells us that 169 millions affected learners worldwide because of COVID-19. They either could not go to face-to-face school sessions. That's about 50% of total learners enrolled in school system worldwide. And 50 countries did have at one point or do have now countrywide closures of schools. So it has impacted the education severely. On the left-hand side, something happened this year in Minnesota, and the time was 7 minutes and 46 seconds. George Floyd, an unarmed man, a black man, and his neck was held for 7 minutes and 46 seconds, and he passed away. He died. And that actually showed the social injustice that that prevails in the states of in the United States and actually in many parts of the world. And then not too far from my hometown in Kenosha, Wisconsin, George Black, another unarmed black man, was shot 7 times. So these are the numbers that 2020 actually gave us to ponder, to think about, to create some movement. And then social inequality, according to United Nations in USA, top 1% has $32 trillion. And the numbers here keep on increasing actually. In the bottom 50% has only $1.5 trillion. The top 1% in the world has 22% of global income. And the bottom 50% has only 9% of income. So these are all the facts that came on the surface together as if they're telling a story, the story of our failure, to understand how we can actually imagine the future problems, to understand how we can deal with them, to understand how we can make this world better for living, for a sustainable world. So with that backdrop, I want to now go back to my core theme, which is future of digitalization. So I just want to give you a short sort of summary of Industry 4.0 and digitalization. You all know that Industry 1.0 started in 1784 with steam engine discovery in England, and then moved into 2.0 with the mass production, 3.0 with the automation, and then Industry 4.0 means we are now actually in the cyber physical systems, we are now using connectivity, IoT, AI, and all these technologies. So just to kind of give you a very top level definition of digitalization, it's creation of new business value using data. A very simple definition. And then Industry 4.0 is essentially is one of the manifestation within that digitalization concept. So Industry 4.0 refers to digitalization for industry, or what new business value that data can create for the industry. So digitalization is an umbrella definition, an umbrella phenomenon, an umbrella theme, and within that exists Industry 4.0 specific for industry. So now I'm going to show you some technologies. This technology that I'm going to show you are not by any means exhaustive. You have Internet of Things, you have location detection, big data analytics, 3D printing, augmented reality, cloud computing. There is an emerging technology, I guess you all know, which is 5G, which will also change the world of IoT, because eventually it will be possible for us to gather massive data with low latency, and we'll be able to actually then apply all the big data analytics and AI that are still in its infancy, I must say. So 5G is hopefully going to break that puzzle that we have as how to get massive data with low latency and with high density. But one thing that I wanted to point out on my right-hand side, the graphic shows that the world has been focusing on digitalization and IoT primarily, again, for productivity improvement, and again, looking into the industries. And this will be a little bit clearer in my next slides. So what I'm proposing today is that here we are, Industry 4.0, focusing on industry, productivity, improvement, manufacturing. And what I'm proposing today is that we should look into all these new opportunities of the future. Social inequalities, social injustice, equal opportunity, virtual learning, sustainable environment. So the focus of Industry 4.0 should be broader and basically focusing on how to make this world better and sustainable. So what I'm proposing today is essentially World X.0 that cuts vertically all those topics that I have shown on the right-hand side: social topics, economic topics, educational topics, financial topics, environmental topics, sustainability topics, but keeping also our focus on the industry as is. So it will be basically a hybrid, or I should say expanded scope of digitalization. So one of the manifestation of digitalization, or I should say a principal segment of digitalization, happens to be digital twin. I think you all know what digital twin means, but I will be giving you a very short primer. So digital twin means that we are now combining a physical, cyber physical system, real time, along with its virtual presentation, coupled together computationally, connected between the two systems. One happens to be a virtual system and another happens to be a real system. Through data and feedback and both virtualized and real worlds can actually help each other and develop capacities for autonomy and to learn. One interesting thing is that this concept started with manufacturing sector, but now it is expanding to virtually all sectors. And the benefit essentially is how to cut cost, improve quality, gaining operational and energy efficiency, and better resource utilization. So today, the focus of digitalization or Industry 4.0 essentially is to hit the top line and the bottom line of a company, of an industry. So we like to see how we can keep that focus intact, but expand our horizon based on the social themes that I discussed before. So this is a big sort of what you call landscape of digital twin that Microsoft is promoting using their cloud platform called Azure. And you see here, it's a beautiful picture, but that essentially has everything from energy, from connected city, grid, building, factory, connected highway, but it has one element that is missing, and that is the social value, the human value, how digital twin can actually help our lives. This is a good example again. So on the top, you see a vehicle, a car, is going through its experience. So you have somebody is thinking about basically driving to a destination. So he's loading his car. Here, a new couple actually is moving furniture. Here, a new mom or a mom doing some shopping. So as the car moves through its lifetime, the data is now captured from this car back to its virtual twin or digital twin, shall we say, through sensors and again, 5G, all these technologies are helping to gather data. And then the data tells in the virtual world what is wrong with the car. Not here, but here. So they're essentially predicting that this car may exhibit some problem in the future. So that is your prediction, predictive analytics. Not only that, they can also do some prescriptive analytics, meaning that they can say, oh, if I can fix a problem in virtual world and get it tested with millions of cars virtually in different parts of the world, virtually again, I can find a solution that I can go back and then install or basically replace in the actual car. That is the value proposition of this digital twin. So it's powerful, but again, as I said, because of many reasons, the digital twin concept is still in its infancy. Affordability is a big reason. The cost, not just the implementation cost, but the life cycle cost. The availability of good experts, who can actually do this digital twin on a fly very, very rapidly in a fast track way. So all these are actually limiting the massive use of digital twin, but the potential is there. Here is essentially a landscape of digital twin. So this is the Microsoft's picture, but now it is actually penetrating all the energy sectors from renewables, coal, nuclear, fossil fuel, microgrid, electricity and grid, manufacturing. It started here. So essentially the landscape of digital twin is vast, is huge, without any doubt. But again, there are a lot of technical hurdles, business hurdles as well, that we have to overcome to make sure that we can actually get it penetrated in the industry in a massive way. So now I'm going to propose actually a personal digital twin that can have hopefully similar impact. Just imagine, we are 6 billion people in the world, and we have roughly 120 to 150, maybe 200 billion devices, 20 or 50 for each of us. So if the world can think about productivity improvement, operational performance, and all these things for 120 to 150 billion devices, why cannot we think about improving performance of us, the babies who will be born tomorrow? How can we make sure that none of those babies, their intellectual potential, the intellectual capacity is going to be underutilized? This cannot happen. We have the resources, we have the technology. The only thing that is missing here is our mindset and priority. We can lose $5.4 trillion in a year because of our oversight of this pandemic and its other related impacting factors, but we cannot spend $5 billion to make improvement for these babies. So we have to think about that. So let me propose some model here. Imagine that if the baby is born, we can create a digital twin for that baby. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that we replace that baby in real world. The baby still grows, a healthy child, fully capable of having all sorts of activities, sports, extracurricular, school. So digital twin, just like it does help the business world, the plant manager, it will help actually the teacher, the parents, the other social workers to make sure they have the full knowledge and the full prescription of as how to raise this baby properly. And for that, just like in a digital twin for machine, you can actually have input like learning efforts, physical activity, metadata, environment, nutrition. This can be all captured with your 5G and mobile platform. Nothing, there is no obstacle there. You bring that to digital twin, and the child actually also creates its performance. You compare, you say, yes, this child is matching its expectation based on the big data, and then you apply this analytical model. Descriptive, meaning that how child is doing. Diagnostic, it is reactive, this is current. If the child is failing, then you exactly know how to actually solve his problems, what resources he needs or she needs based on the current situation. And this is about future. You essentially tell what's happening here today, what may happen to this child as he grows up. Is he getting nutrition? Is he getting the right environment? Is society is giving him the right environment for him to grow properly? Right tools, right education, right mindset and everything. And even it can do prescriptive analytics, just like what we do in the plant setting, telling what he may need here so he doesn't really falter in the future. And I'm suggesting, just like in the machine world, we can apply AI, physics-based modeling, and hybrid model. So the hybrid essentially applies both AI and physics. This is also known in the modeling world, human in the loop. So how can we complement the best intelligence that we have, which is not AI, which is actually human intelligence? So how we can complement human intelligence with artificial intelligence, and therefore we can combine the best of the both worlds and bring that analytical strength, the modeling and the analytic strength, to make sure that our babies, our children, our next generation does not falter. So now I'm going to show another use case example in the healthcare sector. So just imagine coronavirus or any virus actually spreads when it spreads in the community in this kind of fashion. Starting at molecular level, it then spreads to human, then it spreads in the community, then it spreads in the city, and then throughout the entire country, let's say. So the scientists have been thinking about in digital twin field, in the industrial discovery of, let's say, new drugs or materials, a continuum multi-scale modeling and simulation. What does it mean? It means that you start with molecular level modeling, and then you say that this molecular level modeling is essentially attached to the next level or next scale, which happens to be the human to human transmission. So essentially you are doing this modeling and simulation at various scales, but the edges between the two scales are not disjointed, they are integrated. So this is called continuum modeling and simulation. And you can continue this in this fashion all the way from molecular level to the city level or even the country level. So now we are talking about exascale, 10 to the power 18, using high power computing assets for modeling and simulation. Not only that, you can actually create, once you have created this model and simulation and it's validated with real data, then you can actually create a research platform. Many replica of this one validated model can be now distributed worldwide, in Africa, in Middle East, in China, in India, throughout the whole world. So they can actually use this digital twin platform and then tweak it, adjust it for their own environment, for their own country. And that will actually help the global community to work together. They can actually understand a scenario in the future that may not happen today. But this will give us the chance to imagine what may happen in the future. So the advantage is that we can then think about how the virus is going to predict. The virus is here, and the model can then predict, because we have a calibrated, validated model, and that can predict how it is going to spread. So rather than thinking about 6 feet rule and mask rule and this rule and that rule, the simulation environment, the real simulation environment can give us pretty good intelligence how this thing can spread and what measures, what preventable measures shall we take. Not only that, you can actually retropolate. This is another technique that scientists use in terms of discovering new material or drugs. And they say, if I can retropolate this model, or what they call inverse modeling, then by knowing where we are, and let's suppose we haven't really found the actual molecular structure of this virus, we can actually then try to see whether we can predict that structure, and then more importantly, think about prescribing a vaccine. So that will accelerate our effort in finding the cure, or at least giving us some good intelligence in which direction to go. Now, the third use case that I'm going to show to you is about public safety. George Floyd was held under his, the police officer actually held his knee on top of George Floyd's neck for 7 minutes and 46 seconds. Now imagine that a cloud platform, a cloud-based system, a digital twin of a public safety scenario can actually assist that police officer or understand that what he is doing may not be appropriate. It will violate all protocols of the public safety. Imagine that his gun will not fire. It will lock actually, because the cloud platform understands that what he's going to do will actually create some harm to that person that police is trying to shoot at. So that 7 shots may not be necessary. Maybe that cloud platform, through his virtual reality goggles that this police officer is wearing, tells him that maybe he can taser him, or maybe he can take a shot at his leg, and he doesn't need to really pump 7 bullets on his back. So there's real-time intervention, assessment, and then providing some advisory service, real-time, to the police officers will make our world much, much safer. The technologies are there, as I have shown you in this blocks, smart glass, body cam with distributed intelligence, visual analytics, all these things are actually exist today. The only thing that what needs to happen is that our, again, understanding of these technologies, and then asking ourselves, how can we manage these technologies? How can we manage innovation so then we can address the social ills that we have right now in the society? My last use case is about education. So imagine this is a city. It doesn't exist. It only exists virtually. But we can create this city. And this city essentially teaches us how we can live a sustainable world. How can we become a good carbon citizen? This city has everything. It has big buildings, infrastructure, energy distribution systems, renewables, oil, and then you have all kinds of energy infrastructure as well. Grid control, central power, liquefied natural gas, transportation, everything that you can imagine. So the goal here is that we will actually apply the AI techniques and then ask ourselves how this city can teach us, can help us to understand how shall we live as good citizens in this city. Excuse me. So what I'm proposing is that let us develop a virtual sustainable platform that allows us to learn and share how to live sustainably and become better carbon citizen. And I'm going to give you one use case now within this concept about a virtual sustainable school for learning. So this school doesn't exist again. It only exists virtually. But imagine that you can actually create this school virtually and then ship it to all over the world at a fraction of a cost compared to what it will take to actually build these schools, but allow the students and teachers and researchers to learn from it. You essentially say that this school will be having absolute sustainable components that we need. Conservation of water, energy, waste, everything that we need to make this city completely sustainable. So we design this school virtually, we implement this school virtually, and we also operate this school virtually. And what are the attributes of this school when it comes to sustainability we are talking about here? So we are talking about net zero to positive energy. This school actually makes energy, more energy than it actually consumes. So it's a net positive school, number one. It provides negative carbon emission, meaning that rather than producing carbon, it actually absorbs carbon, atmospheric carbon, and makes use of that atmospheric carbon that exists today and then converts that into some benign biofuel. This technology also is emerging fast. Then you talk about energy efficiency, energy reduction, all renewables, zero waste, zero water, 100% recycle, and 1.6 tons of carbon per capita. How this number came about? Well, the United Nations Climate Change Protocol Office, the folks who own actually Nobel Prize a few years ago, they said that if we do not achieve that target of 1.6 ton of carbon per capita in the world, we will lose our planet. In the United States, how much tons of carbon we consume per capita today? 20 tons. So we have a long way to go. So this school will teach us how to consume 1.6 tons. And you know, the best generation among us today are essentially school children. The children who are going to middle school, high school, and then eventually to the colleges and universities. Their mind is fertile. They do not have any preconceived notions, bad habits like we do. including myself. So they can adapt a new lifestyle, how to utilize resources when is needed, how much is needed, and where is needed, precisely. And therefore, they will actually learn from their own practice, just like what they're doing today with online Zoom classes. But here, they will be actually live, learn, and share a sustainable world for them in the school environment. So how it will actually work? Well, it can be a classroom learning experience. When our schools are open, they can actually connect to this school and do experiment or R&D or open collaboration. They can invite that, hey, I have a great idea. Why not a company comes and helps them for that great idea to work on? And this is essentially becomes a virtual emulation platform. Or in the case of pandemic, this can be done completely online. Yeah. So the basic idea here is, and I'm going to come to my conclusion in a minute. So the basic idea here is that we create completely a brand new learning environment, learned from our COVID-19 experience, that it is possible for us to actually create a sustainable school virtually and then distribute that throughout the whole world for schools, for school children to learn a new way of living, a living that will make them a better carbon citizen. They will help us help themselves to actually save this world and for their children. So at the end, my conclusions are the following. 2020 disruptions should inspire us for innovations. That's always happens. That's human instincts. The World Expunge Zero should focus on making a better world for better living. I'm not negating the fact that the World Expunge Zero should include the industrial world, productivity improvement, the status quo goals. There is absolutely no conflict there. But we have to think a larger role of digitalization if we want to make this world better. IAMOT researchers and practitioners should act as preachers for World Expunge Zero. For too long, we have been working only in the back end, only in our research world, publications, technical publications, but we have to really take our message to the world, going to the parliament, going to the local school district, going to the local city hall, local community, and say, hey, we can do better than this. We can actually use technologies appropriately to make ourselves better. So it is incumbent for us, meaning again, the IAMOT researchers, technologists, inventors, to bring and manage new technologies and innovation. And as I said before, we should influence policymakers, business leaders, and civil society. That is our job. We cannot really think about just having our job as technologists or researchers. Because if we don't do this, then the consequences will be dire. And for your motivation, I just say, think about our planet. Think about next generations. Thank you. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Osman, very much. It's a very inspiring presentation. Great thought and great ideas and quite a bit of challenge. Okay, I think we should open up for Q&A. We still have a few minutes, I think, for Q&As. If someone would like to come in with a question, pose it please on the Q&A part. Nizar?
Yes, Dr. Tariq, we have a question from Raman, and can open up the microphone So, Rahman, are you here? Okay, you can talk.
Yes, Nijar. Am I being heard?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's wonderful listening, Dr. Osman. Really wonderful, and specifically thinking of and working towards a sustainable future. So I like that virtual sustainable school of learning idea. So I was thinking when we are becoming or exhorted being to become carbon citizens so that we will have a sustainable future. What is the role of the recent talk on carbon utilization and carbon capture technologies towards this endeavor? So I was thinking whether in the sustainable school of learning that could be a part. Thank you again, Dr. Osman.
Yes, Dr. Agarwala, I fully agree with you. You see, this whole concept of creating a virtual platform is not new. I mean, we are learning that this is possible from, again, the concept of digital twin. So the idea would be that the school does not only teach, but it essentially absorbs new ideas, new technologies, so it can be refreshed every day, every week, every month, every year, depending upon how fast technology is emerging, how fast students and teachers and researchers can actually utilize this platform for their benefit. And I agree with you that carbon utilization, carbon capture, storage, utilization, all these are appropriate elements of sustainability. So your thought is well appreciated.
Thank you. We have Dr. Rosita. Microphone is yours.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Osman, first of all, thank you for such a wonderful keynote. Actually, I was researching few days back about digital twin and trying to learn about it. Actually, many of the things got cleared today. I would like to understand your viewpoints on the applicability of digital twin in pure service innovation. How you think the services will take a shape when the digital twin is applied, and how can they be applied?
Yeah, so I think it will take maybe 5 minutes, but I have only 2 minutes. So I will be trying to be very brief. Rolls-Royce is a manufacturer of jet engine, and they actually abandoned their typical, sales channel or sales model, meaning that you buy a $40 million engine from Rolls-Royce and you sell it to United Airlines. That model is gone. Now they are using digital twin actually as a service model. So what does it mean? Meaning that Rolls-Royce actually gets the data from the actual Rolls-Royce engine while it is flying, let's say from Chicago to London, and then they're using that with their digital twin of that Rolls-Royce to understand how they're performing. And they send the bill invoice to United Airlines based on the performance of that jet engine. So United Airlines is happy because they know that they are not paying to somebody $40 million and they will be having questions about the performance. It's performance-based service as a business, essentially, model. So it is win-win for Rolls-Royce as well as for United Airlines. And this is actually happening today, but only for high price, very large, very complex assets, energy assets. But I think that this might actually penetrate to households. Just imagine that you don't have to pay for a refrigerator. You don't have to pay for a washer or dryer. You pay as you go based on the performance, and they have to basically prove that their machines are performing well for your need. So you pay on a monthly basis and you are happy. You don't have to think about any service, and you don't have to pay upfront cost that is sometimes becoming affordable or unaffordable, I'm sorry.
We have another question from Andrew. Please unmute your microphone and address your question. Okay, so.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Concerning for the introduction aspects from Dr. Osman. So he made mention of low density and high density in getting massive data using 5G. So I didn't understand the statements. I would appreciate if you could please clarify the statements.
Yeah, so the 4G, 3G that we have is essentially from one device to another device transmission. Maybe, I'm calling you on mobile phone. So 5G and 3G are designed to actually carry that data from one device, one-to-one transmission, yeah? The 5G is meant for IoT devices that exist or that will exist in parallel in a massive way. So that means that you will be creating this cellular network with the 5G on a localized basis, and that will allow to connect a massive number of localized devices. Just imagine your house, you can have 50, 60, 100 devices within your house. They're all connected. Not only they're only connected to your mobile phone, but they're connected among themselves. So all this glorious, future that we imagined years ago that we'll be having a connected world will be now possible because of this localized cellular network for high density distribution or devices. And the speed will be 10 order of magnitude higher than 4G. So imagine you'll be transmitting the data at a higher rate from, again, mass distribution, and therefore big data applications will be possible, but also your edge intelligence, meaning that appliance can be now intelligent and they can communicate to each other, meaning washer can talk to dryer, dryer can talk to your thermostat, so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Well, I think our time is up right now, so we would like to thank Dr. Osman Ahmed for a wonderful presentation, quite a vision for the future. I hope we can get there, Osman.
Yes.
If you can help us push a little more, if we can convince people in power to think that way, I think it'll be great. I think it's time to offer Dr. Osman our thank with the certificate. Do you have the certificate for Dr. Osman that you can share? Thank you so much, Osman, for the wonderful presentation and for being with us always in this endeavor.
Thanks for your leadership, yeah.
And Nizar, do you want to take a picture or something?
Yes, please. Okay. So
everybody can open the camera and smile.
Smile.
God always likes people to open the camera and smile.
Yeah. Okay. Just another one. Okay, very nice. Smile. Okay, okay. Smile. Okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to remind everyone that tomorrow is going to start at 11 a.m. Cairo local time, not 12 as of today and yesterday. So we are starting 1 hour before the normal schedule. Tomorrow we'll have we'll start with the paper discussions from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. Cairo local time, and then from 1:15 we have the panel discussion, the IAMOT 2020 editors panel. headed by Dr. Brainos. And he has like a distinguished panelist discussing issues about MOT. And following by this, we'll have our keynote address for tomorrow. It's all about the AI best practices in oil and gas sector by Jeff Betts from IBM, is the Global Industry CTO. It will be at 3 p.m. Cairo local time. So stay in touch, stay tuned, and see you tomorrow. I wish you a pleasant stay, and thank you very much for your presence for today. And see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the parallel sessions, and then the panel discussion starts at 1:15 p.m. Cairo local time. Have a nice day. See you again. Thank
Council
you.
meeting now.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Osman, there is an executive council meeting now.
Yeah, I'm going to join in a minute, huh?